Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Thomas Istepanyan. I'm not sure how to pronounce this last name here, but this guy has been on my list of guys to review for a long time because his artwork is so iconic and it's very unique looking. I would put him in the category of Milan Nikolic, Nivanh Chanthara. These types of artists that focus on this combination of creatures slash mechs. If you've seen the Evangelion anime, that kind of look where it is technically a mecha, but it has that organic look or vibe to it. There's also this other guy, he does a lot of like photo bashing. I also did a review of his work. I can't remember his name, but I will link it in the description below as well. But yeah, I do. I like the fact that it's mostly like you can see the drawing aspect in his work, where he's not necessarily a painter. I mean, I'm sure he can paint and render and color, but I think it's his drawings. It's really the foundation, I guess, of his body of work. And I guess I'm also basing this off of the recent video I did of Rael Lyra. He's also a draftsman, kind of like Thomas here. So I think what really got me or what pulled me was these sorts of character designs where it's based off of, I'm not exactly sure, but it's these ones. I think I saw this on Pinterest before, or maybe I found it on the ArtStation homepage, but they're based off of countries. I'm not sure if this is a personal project. It's for some kind of art book. I'm not sure, but the point is, it's so iconic looking, and it's an interesting concept. Like it's based again off of it's for the Olympics, I guess, and there's like some kind of sponsorships happening. So yeah. And I think it's an interesting overall concept, but obviously it's the creature design or this creature slash mech design that really pulled me in because it's very thick. I do notice the legs seem to be very long. The torsos are somewhat short and tight, and the arms are kind of elongated. If it's not that, it's kind of thick and mean looking. And yeah, it does have that very organic look. For example, this drawing right here. Can we zoom in? Look at that. Look at how... Is it playful? I'm not sure if playful is the word. It's just like it flows. It's almost like water to me. Like if you see his pencil sketches, or it looks like a pencil anyway, but if you see the line work here, it's so carved out and it's very flowy, like it's supposed to, like it goes with the forms. So it's not exactly a shading kind of value based type of rendering or shading. It's focused on the contours, but it's organic, flows like water, and it's natural looking. Like it's not technical. Even if I know it's a mech design of or it's a mech slash creature, it feels more alive, I guess. And even if it does colors work, whether it's like this, there's some shading and the colors are basically just flat. But if we zoom in over here, even the line work is not even that clean. I think it's the initial sketch, so it's a bit rough, but if you zoom out, it makes sense. But it shows you how he pretty much gets it right in this stage. Like if your drawing is good, everything else just follows. Look at this. This one's more of a straightforward view, more of a I think when people do this, they're using the I forgot the tool name, but it's supposed to copy, like what you do on the left will be replicated on the right. Oh, it's some kind of mirroring tool, whether in, I think in Photoshop you have it. I'm not sure if you have it on Clip Studio Paint. But yeah, interesting. I like it. And I don't see a lot of like dark lines. Like it's not an inked piece. So it's a bit gray, like the line work. It's a bit gray, dark gray. And it has a bit of opacity in it. And sometimes if you zoom in, it's kind of shaky. So again, I think it adds to that natural element. So don't expect or don't think you always have to do like super clean and tight line work. Even if it's like this, if you just add a flat and maybe some gradient or a simple gradient here, kind of like this guy, it looks so cool. It reminds me of Evangelion because of the halo thing here. Because in that anime, there's like a angel type of look to their mechs, where sometimes these sorts of rings will appear in their head if they've achieved some kind of level. Now this one does have a bit of maybe color dodge. It looks like it's under some kind of you know how sometimes you pass through like a park and you see these trees and the light kind of seeps through it and kind of just lands on the floor, on the pavement, on you. And it has this sort of effect where it kind of moves, like it feels like it's moving. Even if the character is sort of like standing, or this guy right here in the left or right side, even if it's kind of walking. I think adding these lights effects, or these, this kind of orange, yellow light effects, it makes it feel like it's moving, right? So maybe that's the intention here, but who knows. Let's zoom in. Again, even here you can still see some artifacts. Like it's not a... I think it adds some character to the overall image. If it's just a plain white background, sometimes being too clean can be... It can take away from the artwork if you're too clean. And so if you're the type of artist that's a bit more raw or straightforward and perhaps impatient, don't be afraid to add these types of things in. In the designs, I do see a lot of circles in his work, right? Lots of elongated forms. So let me just bring out my Epic pen. It's a... Right. It's this drawing note app for like callouts and shit. Bring it here. Okay, we'll try this. I do notice a lot of forms tend to be this way, where it's like lots of circles, lots of oblongs in his work. It's too thick. Yes. And then lots of elongated like arms. Obviously it's like based on limbs, but it's very oblong-ish. And I don't see a lot of like straight, hard edges. Or these types of points. I don't see it a lot in his work. Or in his like creature / mech designs. And again, look at the torso. Let's try a different color here. Look at how short the torso is. And everything else, like the legs, right? The arms. They're way longer than the torso. The torso is usually sort of contained. And I think when it comes to the overall mass, like it's basically like it's less than 50%. The torso. Maybe even around like 30, more or less. So that's an interesting. But again, oh shit, sorry. Hopefully you didn't see shit. Anyway, yeah, so that's an interesting observation from his work. That this one's a bit more solid, and I do see way more parts here, especially at the top, right? You can see more of these sorts of I'm not sure what these are called, like hydraulics. I mean, that's so cool. But look at how it's not even that like specific. Like you don't have to be an engineer you know, to be able to like think of these sorts of things. If it looks cool and it kind of makes sense in a way, you can just sort of wing it. I mean, look at this part. Reminds me of, again, this specific piece reminds me of the designs of Nivanh Chanthara. I think it's Canadian, like French Canadian or something. Who knows? But yeah, oh, I like the wheels. I like the guarded thing in the back to kind of help it stand and not shake. Or maybe it's just there for parking, who knows? I'm assuming it's just there for parking because, yeah. And it has some kind of balancing design to it. Oh, I do like the only color here is pretty much this eye socket for this camera. But again, look at how the torso is kind of short. And I love the padding. And it's very common nowadays when you do mech designs, like you adding this sort of this thing over here, where technically the mechanical parts are inside, but it's covered with some kind of protective clothing. Maybe it's some kind of fabric, some kind of protective fabric to obviously to contain the mechanical parts. And I think that's the function, but visually it just looks nice. And it actually helps make the mech look way more organic than it actually is. So I'm sure inside you'll see a bunch of like rotating stuff, gears, everything, but yeah. Very cool looking. And I love how the shading is very minimal. Like you can see some here at the bottom or kind of inside the insertions and stuff. And maybe right here also. Like it's very, oh shit, it's too thick. Shit. It's, oh my god. Like it's kind of like this. Like it's minimal, like you'll see some contours, right? And then the shading is, it's not even like this. More of you have to be able to see the video, by the way. If you're listening in the background, it's not going to make sense. But it's, the shading is sort of like sculpting as well. Like it's not really for values. It's not a painting kind of shading or a shading that's for painting. It's more of a it's more for sculpting the forms, right? To show the mass a bit or to suggest mass, to suggest folds, to suggest contours without having to block in like huge chunks of shadows. So that's interesting. So this one is this England? Is this the flag of England? Anyway, let's zoom in. Ugh. There is a bit of like underlighting here, like the blue parts. It's in color dodge or linear dodge. But yeah, look at the organic forms. Even the character looks kind of nice. And I think she's also wearing some kind of suit. I think she's supposed to ride this thing. Or maybe it's like a partner for some kind of Olympic game competition, right? And again, look at those sculpted forms here. The way it's shaded, it's not really for values. It's more for forms or suggesting like a certain mass, a certain form. And the shadows, the really dark ones, maybe here, very minimal. It's like less than 1% or 1-2% of the entire piece. And the colors are mainly flat. And even in the major mass areas like the quads and the calves, you don't see a lot of line work to suggest details. It's more like dots. And like, look at this, it's very suggested. But overall, it just makes sense. And the designs are just that compelling. But this guy is actually pretty mixed. So it's kind of like a part mech, or he's augmented in some way. Right? Look at that. And he doesn't have legs, or it's mechanical. Let's look at this guy. Look at that. Again with the circles, big chunky legs, and those arms. I love the folds here. And when you do folds, or these types anyway, when they're in mechs. They don't always have to like make sense. You can just suggest them. Although I will admit I'm not really good at doing folds, so it's something that I definitely have to do more of. But these designs right here, the torso, even if it doesn't make full sense, you just kind of get it like, yeah. Like it looks legit. Burger King, right? Let's look at some more pieces here. But that's the general vibe of his work. Very organic and heavy on the drawings, whether it's flat colors or some a bit more shading involved, some lighting effects. It's still heavy on the drawing aspect. And I do see, I mean, yeah, there are some character designs, but they're secondary, I think, or they're more complementary. Complementary, or they're sort of supportive of, like, the main thing is the mecha, then secondary, or it's secondary. The character designs, like people, they're secondary to the more mechy stuff. Right? Lots of blobs again, organic forms. Look at that. Even without the coloring or the shadows, it still looks legit. Let's find more. Or this one's kind of nice. It's like a spider mech. The backgrounds are done simply. In fact, I don't think. Oh yeah, it's not even that necessary, because even with this drawing, like maybe just add a floor or some kind of shadow to suggest it's standing on something. But this is a great example to see just the plain, pure drawing. Maybe there is an initial sketch, and this is the more final-esque, where it's meant to be colored and presented. It's not exactly a tight line drawing again, but if we look at the main result, the final result rather, it works. Oh, I like this one too. Right? Interesting. See? Let's look at this again. Look at that. Anyway, let's see more stuff here. Oh, this one does have some minimal coloring, just accent colors. It's kind of pink, red, or maroon. Yeah, and it's not even, again, is it exact? No, but it still looks cool. I think what makes it legit is there's some definition, which is important. So it's not super sketchy. Like even if the lines are somewhat rough, they're there. Meaning it's not blended out or blended in. It's supposed to define an edge. So the edges are clear, but also, I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, symmetry. Like what's happening on the left side is also indicated in the right side, so that makes it more complete, right? So design wise, if you see something that's symmetrical, or if you see something is mirrored, it seems more designed. Kind of like the humanoid figure. You see the left hand and the right hand, the left arm, left leg, right leg. It seems like a designed thing, like an evolved thing. And that makes it somewhat alive in a way. Even if it's a mech, just seeing that symmetry, it makes it seem more sophisticated and evolved. So if you can, I suggest trying to, it doesn't have to be fully exact. For example, this part right here is a bit different from this shoulder. But overall, there is some idea of symmetry. This one's more of a character design. Like the way the suit is done is pretty much the same way the mecha is done. Like the way it's shaded. Look at this. Again, look at the forms, very smooth. Look at the torso ratio. Or this one, the torso is rather big. I do see lots of circular stuff here, like blobs again, and the way it's shaded, it's still done simply, simple, but you know, yeah, the forms are there, but again, even without the shading, it still looks good. But I don't see a lot of like huge cast shadows. It's more of like a design type of shading where it's meant to show the forms and not necessarily realistic lighting. Like it's not supposed to be in an environment. I mean, this one you can tell it is being shown in that regard. But for most of his design illustrations, it's kind of like this, where it's just there to kind of show what's in the back, what's in the front, what kind of form it is, how chunky, how rounded something is. You don't see a lot of this where it's like where you can see like a huge cast shadow, right? Is it a cast shadow like this thing where it feels like it's in an environment? But yeah. Okay, that's it for this quick, well, maybe not quick, but this art review of Thomas Istepanyan, concept artist / illustrator. And yeah, I'm just happy in a way because it's been I've been postponing this guy forever, and I finally got down to publishing a video on his work. So I recommend you follow him on ArtStation. I'll try to find other links of this guy, but so far I only have the ArtStation social media platform or portfolio page of his. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and bye.